An easy play. Fresh dress, living large, German whips in my garage. Most my partners called the charge for all this love break out with bars. Fresh dress, living large, German whips in
Here's
my
Messi.
garage.
Away from 2, 3, 4. Wonderful.
These chicks be flocking.
Hi, guys. Welcome into NFL Week 12 from yourfilterschoice.com at YFC. My name is Adam, also known as V12 at YFC Sports V12. It's the Twitter handle below. We're joined with two of the other bright young gentlemen that we have here on the team at YFC Sports _ Devin and at Mike Miz 23. Gentlemen, I'm ready for some NFL Week 12. I don't think the NFL was quite ready for COVID, it seems. So let's kind of dig through today. How are you guys doing this morning?
Doing well, doing a whole lot better than the Denver Broncos are this morning.
I would say so. Miz, how are you doing, brother?
I'm good, doing better than the Ravens are.
Yeah. and my Eagles get the Seahawks. So, you know, I don't think any of us are exactly excited about some of the narrative streets that we have and traveling the NFL landscape today. But we're here to make money. And with you guys, if you've joined us for any period of time, if you've been with us for this NFL journey this season, and of course, other sports, you know that at yourfilterschoice.com, we carry all of the sports, all the premium content. We're going to be primarily talking NFL today, cash plays, GPP tournament plays, along with some wagering and Prizepicks, one of our affiliates. So we're going to kind of go through those piece by piece. Before we jump in, I do want to mention real quick, we still have it a limited time, 40% off, guys. This is very limited because come the new year, we're going to be switching up our pricing a bit, but you can get 40% off your first 2 months at yourfilterschoice.com, and you can get more information. If you want to reach out to at YFC Sports _ Devin on Twitter, he'd be happy to answer any questions for you there. But guys, we're talking NFL. We've been crushing some other stuff. We had some crazy fights last night. Nate Robinson, poor little guy, flying across the ring. So hopefully we do much better than Nate does today in our NFL and our wagering, guys. So while we walk into that, Miz, we're going to come back to you. You're going to be covering our GPP tournament takes, and we're going to go through some plays with you there and kind of what you think in regards to today and some lineup builds. But we are going to jump in and say bye to Miz right now with at YFC Sports _ Devin. And Devin's going to be navigating us through our cash plays, of course, our top plays article and our cheat sheet. So, Dev, I'm going to let you get started here. I know you got some stuff that you already have on the agenda. So you lead the way, brother, and I'll be along with you.
What happened in that Tyson fight, by the way?
It was a draw, I think.
Really?
I was watching UFC, but it was very weird. It was Tyson looked really good. I thought he won it, but you know Jones was good too. I mean, what do you expect from two 50-year-old dudes coming in there swinging leather? Yeah, exactly. So it was crazy, but I was watching a lot of UFC and yelling a lot there too. So
Gotcha. Yeah, I hadn't checked into that. All right, so let's jump into some NFL. We'll start things off with quarterbacks. So this is an interesting week. We have a real decision on our hands. Josh Allen currently is projected to see the most ownership. Understandable. Chargers are bottom 5 in terms of fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks, as in one of the worst. So that play makes a ton of sense. He's got the rushing upside. Miz and I talk about it every single podcast. You know, if you can run as a quarterback, it gives you such a nice floor, especially for cash games.
right.
There are some other plays to really consider this week. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, always in play, but they're super expensive. But they're there. And then you've got right below Josh Allen, you've got Justin Herbert, who is a guy that we've been kind of hyping up all season long. He's been just crazy consistent. He has at least 20 points every game but week 3. So his floor has been really high, even in like some of his few 2 weeks ago, I thought was his worst game as a pro. And he still managed over 20 points, kind of came on strong late second half. So he gets Eckler back as well, which is only going to help that offense. Buffalo defense is good, but they're not good enough to scare me away. They are also bottom 10 in terms of fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks. So both arms in that game are very viable. And then you've got 3 viable, punt options coming in below 6K on DraftKings, below 7.5 on FanDuel. Matty Ice, Derek Carr, same thing. They're facing each other. It's a game that should see some points. Matt Ryan
Right.
always plays well at home. He does not have Julio, which hurts. So that's a little downgrade there. And then my worry with Derek Carr. Derek Carr has the best matchup you can have in football for quarterbacks. Atlanta and Seattle's gone back and forth all season long, getting torched by quarterbacks. My only issue with Derek Carr is they don't ask him to do a lot. And we've seen that. And in 3 of the last 4 weeks, they've been super run heavy. He has not thrown very much, and it's really capped. His floor has not been high. He's been below 20 in 3 of the last 4 weeks. So that's a little bit scary. You really want to shoot for that 20-point and up mark at your quarterback. If Carr goes out there and drops 10, you're in trouble. So my favorite value is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Tua got downgraded to doubtful. Puts Fitzpatrick in play. He's priced especially on DraftKings. He's priced as a backup. He's only 5.5K.
Who's the best player of all
He gets,
time?
the Jets, who are the worst team in the NFL. They're giving up 30.2 points a game. Fitzpatrick, they're going to open the offense up a little bit again, more than they were with Tua. We know what Fitz can do. He's a slinger. In this same matchup, which was actually the last game he started before he got benched, if you want to call it getting benched. He put up 18 despite that game essentially being over by half. They were just absolutely dominating that game, and he didn't do anything in the second half because they didn't need him to. I don't see that happening here. The Dolphins are more banged up than they were a few weeks ago. No Preston. Grant's beat up. They're down multiple running backs. So I see Fitzpatrick being more involved all game long. So if you need the value at quarterback, to me, it's Fitzpatrick. Is easily my favorite of all the values on the board.
Yeah, I do think, with the quarterback, just kind of recapping what you said, agree, obviously. If we can get up there to that Josh Allen range, Patrick Mahomes, all those guys are definitely in play. But if you're building the more and more as I go through there, kind of like prioritizing some other pieces, and we'll talk about that when we get to running back a little bit more. But you are really needing that salary here. And if Fitzpatrick gets another revenge type game, I wouldn't really look too much at being in divisional. Both the teams, like I said, were coming into the season, weren't projected to be that good. Miami actually surprisingly is doing quite well. Fitzpatrick, kind of this in and out, it affects a lot of quarterbacks differently. I think he's one of those guys. It doesn't matter. He gets an opportunity, he goes out and slings it. So I think you might need that value there. I like Allen as the pay up piece there, and same with Carr. I was looking at him on Prizepicks, thinking about going under on him and over on Jacobs, just because I just don't like, this game script. I have a feeling like Jacobs is going to be relied on a lot.
Yeah, they're not asking Carr to do a ton lately. So like I said, what I really like about Fitzpatrick, again, you don't have to go there. You can make a Josh Allen, a Herbert build work with a wide receiver punt, which we'll get into later. But what I do like about Fitzpatrick, he had a month-long stretch there where he had 27, 25, 26, 30. At 5.5K, if he puts up something in that range, he's just absolutely crushed value.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, man. I think it's pretty straightforward. You have some questions to make, but I think that quarterback may not be your first building block today. So if you're ready, we can run into the running back section if you don't have any more value for us.
Yep. So at running back, it's running back has a couple really nice value pieces, and you're going to need to play at least one. Nyheim Hines is going to be looking at finally getting a fairly steady role because Jonathan Taylor's been ruled out. Tennessee is allowing nearly 400 yards of total offense a game. We've seen what Hines can do in limited touches. He's a great pass catcher. He actually has 6 touchdowns on the year, and that's out of a backfield where 3 guys are fairly consistently getting the ball. You remove one of those guys, it's only going to bump up Hines' touches. So I really like Hines here. 4.6K on DraftKings, 5.7K on FanDuel. Right now, he's looking kind of like the chalk value. And again, for good reason, he's very explosive, lots of upside. Now he finally gets a little bit of a built-in floor now that we know the touches are going to be there. And on top of that, you get a decent matchup. So Hines is looking like your chalk value. And then you're going to need that value because Dalvin Cook gets a Carolina team that's just getting torched by running backs all season long. They're giving up 27.8 DraftKings points per game to opposing running backs. They give up a lot through the air to opposing running backs, which Dalvin can catch the ball. I know that you don't really think of him that way. Most people don't, but he is very capable. If you look at his log, he usually has 4 or 5 targets, 4 or 5 catches a game. He can easily break one of those. It's hard to imagine him not going over 100 yards here, something he has done in 5 of his last 7 games now, which is incredible. Included in that stretch, he has a 163-yard game, 181-yard game, a 206-yard game. So, I mean, his ceiling is massive. He is pricey, but the matchup's there. No Adam Thielen. They're going to be relying on the run even more. Cook's going to be your chalk pay-up running back. And then outside of – what's that?
No, I was just going to say something just to kind of talk a little bit more what you said about Cook, because I think that, and, it's important to note that a lot of people are going to look at that price tag and they're going to be scared off. But what you said there with the floor, that the upside is absolutely there too. When you're paying up for these running backs at 9,500, $9,000, anybody over 8K, I think that you can kind of lower a little bit of your expectation on the return of value. A lot of people look for this 3.5x or 3.5 times return on fantasy points with their salary, 4x or whatever you're saying. But the higher these guys are getting, you're getting that those fantasy points baked in. I did pull up that stat because I'm a big receptions allowed to running back guy. Me and you've talked about that, and I've talked with Miz too. But Carolina, 7.7 targets are allowed to running backs right now with over 6 receptions a game. So just right there, if he's averaging, say 8 yards a catch, 6 receptions, you're talking about he's getting 48 yards. So basically 5 points from just the receiving, another 6 points from the reception. So he's already sitting there, in double digits just from his receptions, not to mention his touchdown and rushing upside and equity. But I'll let you continue on. I just feel that people are going to look at that and going to be scared about that price tag today.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You're paying for the floor. 14 touchdowns on the year. He's averaging over 118 yards a game. You're essentially penciling him in for 30 points, and then that can go as high as 50. We've seen him do it before. So it's one of those scenarios where if you do fade him and he drops 50, good luck. You're gonna struggle to cash. So you can make him work fairly comfortably this week. Now, outside of him, if you're like, I'm not paying that, you do have, a James Robinson who's been super consistent this year. Cleveland defense is actually sneaky good, but it hasn't mattered for Robinson. When he plays good defenses, he took on the Steelers a couple of weeks ago, he's still putting up double digits. He's essentially locked for double digits every week. So he is there despite an iffy matchup. He put up 11.4 DraftKings points last week. And he actually has at least 10 points in every game this season. So James Robinson's there. Josh Jacobs, we already mentioned that we believe, they're gonna lean on that run game. They have been a lot lately. Nick Chubb is another guy. Jacksonville is terrible to opposing running backs. The Browns are gonna run the ball all day long here. So I really like Nick Chubb. I really like Kareem Hunt behind him. And then Derrick Henry is a guy that Miz is going to be talking about, so I'll let him take that. So there are other options in this kind of like mid-tier range behind Cook. But again, just understand if you fade Cook, you're taking a risk. He's looking probably 30-plus points. Yeah. And then 2 other plays I want to talk about. We'll say 3 other plays, some value options. So Brian Hill, Todd Gurley is out. Brian Hill is starting. Vegas is a team that they only give up 112 rushing yards a game, but it's another team that's giving up catches to running backs. So they're actually giving up 28.9 DraftKings points per game to opposing running backs, which is really high. So Brian Hill comes in at 4K. That's obviously super cheap, 5.1 on FanDuel. He's going to be getting the touches. They're at home. They always play better at home. Matty Ice historically plays better at home.
Who's the best player in the world?
So I really like Brian Hill here, and especially if you want to run Dalvin, you could run a Hines, Hill, Cook. It's an easy way to get Cook in there pretty comfortably with running backs who are cheap and in a starting role. And then 2 other values that I do like. Gallman Jr. has been sneaky good. He's been putting up about 15 points a game the last 4 weeks. I expect that to continue here. He's 5K, so if you you got an extra grand left after your build and you want to upgrade a spot, you could upgrade Hill to Gallman, a little bit safer of a floor. And then James White is another play that I like today. Probably pushing more as a GPP play. He's going to come in a low ownership, but no Rex Burkhead. We saw Rex Burkhead be the third down back this year, the goal line back. White's just going to slide right into that role. And at 4.5K, that's pretty darn cheap. He is my least preferred. It's Hines, it's Hill, it's Gallman for me. And then if you want to get a little bit fancy, James White is there as well.
Yeah. And, I was a big Rex Burkhead fan. I was sad to see what happened to the guy and everything. Wish him the best. He said he's going to come back. So hopefully that is the case for him. But just recapping the running back position, we talked a little bit about Cook, but I think that these value plays, man, it does set up to be a very, 3 running back looking weak for me. V12 building here. Like I just am looking down. I love that Hill matchup, man, and that price tag. And
Yes.
Obviously you talked about what the Raiders are giving up. It is a lot. And look at the game script. I mean, you got a high over under. How many times have you played Matt Ryan, played Julio Jones, played Calvin Ridley? You get to the goal line and then you get a Todd Gurley touchdown and nobody plays Todd Gurley. So it's like it just kind of sets up for that week to where this guy, and I could be 100% wrong, but I'm pretty sure he came out of like Wyoming or something like that. But he was pretty highly touted in the dynasty community coming out of college. He went there thinking that he was eventually going to get that role from Freeman at the time and become the lead back. So this is his opportunity in a great game script, and Raiders are going to absolutely give it up. Over 8 targets allowed to running backs that they are averaging per game, probably one of the highest on the slate. So I think Hill is actually more of a priority for me than Hines. I love Hines. I'm probably going to play them both with Cook, but I do think that you can't overstate the Hill matchup today and his ability there. Some of these other guys, Gallman, I don't really trust as much, obviously. And you talked a little bit more about James White. I do love your boy James Robinson. Nobody's going to play him, Dev, so you can get really low ownership on a great play today.
Yep. And don't sleep on Gallman though. Like I said, it's 4 straight weeks now of 13.2 or higher. So
right.
I do agree. Every build I have right now is Hill and Hines with Cook. It's hard to ignore that value. 2 starting running backs under 5K in good matchups is pretty hard to ignore.
Yeah, and I will say too that you're looking at he went Tampa Bay, Gallman, Tampa Bay, and Washington in weeks 8 and 9, and scored double-digit DraftKings points in both of those. So he can do it against good defenses too. I personally, him being so in the NFC East, I've never been a big Gallman guy. More of it's a personal fandom against him, but I do think that he's definitely an option at only 5K. So yeah, let's keep going, man. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. He sucks, but he's been getting the touchdowns. It's 4 straight weeks with at least a touchdown has been the big thing.
For sure.
But yes, I'm still leaning towards Hill, Hines, Cook. So, but that's pretty much it at running back. Running back's a really nice spot though for GPPs. There are a lot of guys that you can swing off of the chalk plays. And again, Miz is going to talk about that. So moving over to wide receiver. Loaded spot today. You've got a couple pay up plays that I really like. Diggs, Keenan Allen, super consistent. Both are double digits every single week. Both are probably looking at 20 plus here. Especially if you're playing a Josh Allen, you can pair him with the Diggs, or if you're playing Herbert, you can pair him with Keenan. You can play both. Both these are just floor plays. They're double-digit targets. Diggs is averaging 10.1. Keenan's averaging 11.2. So you're paying for a floor here. You're paying for those targets. You're paying for double digits. So both are there. Both are great plays. Calvin Ridley, no Julio, but it is important to note that he's actually done better with Julio this year when Julio is there. So he's not a slam dunk without Julio, but I mean, Calvin Ridley's been awesome this year. He's averaging 83 yards a game, 8.56 targets. So Calvin's there. You've got Tyreek Hill's a guy that you've actually been pretty high on and nobody ever plays him. Tyreek Hill has
Right.
been fire this year. He's been awesome. My only issue with Tyreek is you're paying for that floor with the targets with Diggs and Allen, whereas Tyreek's only got 8.6. That's still a lot, but you're getting 2 to 3 more targets for Diggs and Keenan, so that's a little bit safer. But and the matchup for Tyreek's a little bit harder. Vegas doesn't seem to care. KC still has nearly a 30-point implied total, so Tyreek is there as well. And then of course, last, Justin Jefferson. So this is kind of my dilemma today is you've got Jefferson, you've got Cook, and then you've got Kyle Rudolph, who we'll talk about next. I don't know that I'm comfy playing 3 Vikings in cash. That was my issue. So Jefferson is actually our highest projected ownership wide receiver, but I don't know that I can personally play. Again, I don't know that I can play Jefferson, Cook, and Rudolph.
Right.
But Jefferson's there, no Thielen. The kid's awesome. He's averaging 85 yards a game. A lot of that is big games. So his floor is not there like the other guys are. He's not even averaging 6 targets a game, but no Thielen. Those targets should go up. Again, my only worry with Jefferson is Carolina should, if they're smart, key in on him, because behind Jefferson is nobody. It's a bunch of names that, you probably haven't even heard of, the average football fan, because they never see the field.
Right.
But Jefferson's there and Irv Smith as well. So that's kind of a decision I'm still figuring out. Who do I want to roll? Do I want to roll Jefferson? So I'm still tinkering with that, but he's there.
Yeah. I was going to say, just in regards to your too many Vikings in cash take, because I do think that there's something to be said about there that with the correlation standpoint. So I would say that it negatively correlates if you played Rudolph with Cook more than playing Cook with Jefferson. I do think Jefferson and Cook go together because getting into that red zone where Rudolph is essentially going to have all of his value, he's not the guy that you're going to want to move the chains with. You're expecting a touchdown, a red zone target for him. Hopefully paying off with a touchdown at that price tag, which is uber cheap. And I know you'll get to that at the tight end position, but you get to the red zone, you want Cook touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? So or Jefferson, I guess, but Jefferson can still make value without scoring a touchdown today. And Cook could too, essentially. But Rudolph, I feel like he does negatively correlate a little bit with Cook. I know it's easy to pair them up because of the pricing on there, but I think there's something to be said there. We've fell into that trap before of thinking, well, we're just going to play these guys because they're all great value and you're looking at the pricing. But there is some correlation to be said in NFL, and I think that's one of them.
Yeah, so that's something I'm going to be, really figuring out probably all the way up to lock. That's going to be my main decision today is which Vikings do I want. You can roll all 3, but especially with Rudolph being as cheap as he is.
Right.
But my only issue doing that is if the Vikings suck, you're in trouble. So
yeah, you are.
Something to keep in mind. If you love your lineup with all 3 and you trust the Vikings, then roll it. I'm just not sure I want to have 3 of one team in cash. So behind all those pretty obvious pay up guys, there are some mid-range guys. Robbie Anderson comes in really cheap, especially on FanDuel. His numbers have dropped lately, but the matchup's decent. Devontae Parker gets Fitz back, which only helps him. His price is still reduced.
Right.
You've got a Cole Beasley, no John Brown. He does draw the hardest matchup with the receivers or working out of the slot, but he's a PPR guy. He's in the mid 5K range. If you land there, he's going to get his targets. He's probably looking at 10 plus today, regardless of the matchup. And then you've got a few punt options to make. Especially if you want to get Cook and like a Josh Allen or a Herbert, you're probably going to need to punt with one of your wide receiver spots. So there are a few options on the board. We've got 2 Jacksonville receivers because Jacksonville is banged up. Chark and Conley are out. So you've got Keelan Cole and you've got Chenault. Both are, have shown flashes of upside this year. I was down on them, but then Denzel Ward is out. That is by far the Browns' best cornerback. So the fact that he is out does bring Cole and Chenault in play for me. Jacksonville is playing with, Mike Glennon, who's terrible, but you've got to assume that they're going to move the ball somewhat. So there's a decent chance it's going to be Cole, Chenault, James Robinson, like we talked about earlier. So those 2 punts are there. And then you've also got Gabriel Davis for Buffalo. So the weeks that John Brown was out, week 5 and 7, he played a ton of snaps. So the snaps were there. It didn't necessarily translate to a ton DFS wise. The one game he was pretty good. The other game he was not. But at 3K, you're paying for a guy for opportunity. 3K, if the guy's going to be on the field, all it takes is, a couple targets and he can easily hit value. He actually has 3 touchdowns on the year despite very limited playing time. So now he's looking at more playing time. It's a good matchup. He's somebody you could pair with Josh Allen. So Gabriel Davis is there as well. And then one last name is Zacchaeus with two more names. Sorry, Zacchaeus with Julio out. Zacchaeus draws a really nice matchup against one of my Buckeyes and Damon Arnett. Zacchaeus, what Atlanta likes to do is literally they have 3 backup receivers that just plug in depending on who's out. So with Julio out, Zacchaeus swings right in, and he will act as the Julio role today. So he's going to be taking deep shots, etc. He draws a really solid individual matchup. He's going to come in at really low ownership. That's a play, kind of one of my sneaky plays today. And then last, this is again more of a GBP play, a pivot off of these other popular punts is Andy Isabella. No Fitzgerald today, so Andy Isabella should be looking at a increased role.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that you said, plays wise, especially if you're going to play Fitzpatrick, is Devontae Parker. I've always been a Devontae Parker fan. He's never quite done me right in the dynasty community, but he started really panning out this year. And the great thing about Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic, as you know, likes to sling it. If you look at through the first 6 weeks, whenever he was starting and looking kind of at Devontae Parker, more or less his targets, I feel like a lot of people just are so focused on the production value, which is great still. I mean, he was double-digit points weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5. Week 6 was against the Jets. So a 24-0 game against the Jets. He actually had 8 targets, but only caught 3 for 35, no touchdowns, which was only 6.5 points. So the biggest thing here is I think that he's going to get opportunity. He was getting plenty of targets with 2, and I'm wanting to say in week 6, he probably had, I don't know if Preston Williams was there or not, to be honest, but, you got some banged up guys with Grant. You talked about some of the targets being funneled that way. Have lined up today against the Miami receivers. They lost Brian Poole for the year. So Bryce Hall, Lamar Jackson, the other Lamar Jackson, the non-COVID guy, sorry, Miz, and then Arthur Mallett, I don't even know how to say his name because he's not relevant. So these are the guys that are lining up today against Devontae Parker. I'm not saying that he's the lock of all locks, but he's pretty appetizing, especially because of the fact that if you're looking to pair somebody with Fitzmagic today, I think I love Devontae Parker, and you, like you said, he's priced down. He's under 6K, right? 5.9 on DraftKings. Yep. I'm not sure what he comes in at FanDuel, but this is a guy that produces not only on the PPR aspect, but he also produces from the touchdown equity aspect. So that's just my Devontae Parker take. I like all the other ones. Jefferson, if he gains enough ownership, I feel like you got to play him. I mean, maybe, I don't know. It's a decision. There's a lot here. So if you're running multiple lineups, you want to get some equity with all these guys. But I do like the Bills, Stephon Diggs, the Cole Beasley, Gabby Davis was a popular value play that we had talked about too, I think. But I think getting a piece of that game is pretty essential because Allen is definitely going to throw the ball some today because it's too good of a matchup. So yeah, I like all those there. I saw actually in the chat, I see some people talking a little bit in regards to Beasley and some other plays there, but totally agree on all of those, Devin. Unfortunately, we have to pick at least 3, maybe 4.
Yeah. Wide receiver is going to be important today. There's some real decisions. And Preston did play in that Jets game. He actually had a touchdown. So you remove Preston Williams from the scenario, the situation. And I'm not even sure Grant plays. So especially if Grant's out, Parker is going to be the number 1 by a mile. It's going to be guys like Antonio Callaway is going to probably play for Grant. Matt Hollins, so it's going to be Parker he's kind of in an odd price range is the only thing. But
Right.
if you can make him work, absolutely. He's just another guy that makes a ton of sense today. Wide receivers loaded today. A lot of guys to really like. So moving on to tight end. This is another spot. For those who watch the show every week, you already know my take on tight end. I'm always looking to punt if I can, simply because the variance at tight end is very high. If you look at the top tight ends in the league, they have very few of them have very good floors. It'll be even Darren Waller, who we're going to talk about, has multiple just absolute dud games on the year. So I typically like to pay down. And today that brings us Kyle Rudolph. No Irv Smith, no Adam Thielen. We should see Rudolph on the field a ton. He's only 2.8K. So he's going to be your most popular value by a mile. I'm not sure he's going to be chalk because there are some strong pay-up options, but he's going to be the chalkiest of the value options. So, he hasn't hit double figures all year, but he has 2 games over 9. If he can do that here, that's enough at his price tag. Again, he's going to be on the field more than typical with no Irv, no Thielen, and it's a name that Kirk is going to trust because, again, I mentioned earlier, behind Jefferson is a bunch of guys that you'd never heard of, guys that don't play. So he's going to be looking at the guys that he knows, that he trusts. He's going to be looking at Jefferson. He's going to be looking at Rudolph. He's going to be looking at Dalvin. Like that's where the offense is going to come from. So Rudolph's your easy value option at tight end if you need it. And then you have 2 pretty strong pay up options. I already mentioned Waller. Waller gets an Atlanta defense that's just getting smoked by tight end all season long. They are giving up 16.8 DraftKings points per game to opposing tight ends. That is the worst in the NFL. Darren Waller is one of the most athletic tight ends in the league. My only issue with Waller is his lack of consistency this year. Even just if you look at his log, he had 21.8 last week. The week before, he had 6.7. 13.2 the week before, 7.7 the week before that. So his floor is a little bit scary, but the matchup is supreme. If you aren't comfortable with Rudolph, and you can get up to Waller, he makes a ton of sense. And then the other pay up option is Travis Kelce, who has quietly been ridiculously good. Ironically, the one dud in his last 6 weeks was the game I'm pretty sure he saw the most ownership. Was the only time he's been a dud.
Sounds
his
right.
last 3 games, he has 27.9, 28.9, 29.86. The week prior was his dud at 6.1. The 2 before that, 22.5, 27.8. So 5 of his last 6 games have been 22.5 or higher. So he's been incredible this season. This is probably his best year of his career. 6 total games over 20 DraftKings points, but he's pricey. So matchup's it's his individual matchup is actually really good though. Tampa Bay defense is good, but he has a matchup that he individually can exploit. He's been phenomenal. Like I said, 5 of the last 6 weeks have been just awesome. So Kelce's there if you can get to him. Behind that, Hunter Henry's been coming on 2 straight weeks with a touchdown. He draws a really strong individual matchup. Gesicki gets his quarterback back, Austin Hooper. So there are other options. Gerald Everett's another option if Higbee is out. So, but to me, it's Rudolph, or you try and get all the way up to a Kelce or a Waller.
Yeah. I don't have much to add on that tight end. I actually, when I built my first build, and I'm not there anymore, but if I was like thinking, it paid off the week where we had a really, really great call, or you had a great call. So one of the first couple weeks on on tight end where we played a value play. I think it might have been the Browns guy. I can't remember, but having two tight ends in a lineup to where you could play Waller and then play a Rudolph value actually opened up some intriguing options there. But I'm kind of away from that. I do feel like Waller is going to get just a ton of ownership today. So, I mean, I don't know what you're at right now projected, but I do feel like it's gonna keep climbing up there. Rudolph's viable, but I think this is my smallest player pool by far. I don't have much to add in regards to it. Just saying, don't prioritize it. When you get there, you get there. Just if you are listening to the show, rewind when we talked about owning Vikings in your lineup and how that kind of correlates, if that helps you. If not, just pick which tight end fits the best on your builds and don't prioritize tight end too much today. I guess that's my main thing. I do love Waller, though. That's probably where I'll go in the end.
You could you could run Waller or Kelsey in the flex because they're essentially wide receivers.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they do have that upside. Yeah, to me it's really Kelsey, Waller, or Rudolph. There are mid-range options that are viable behind those guys, but that's where the ownership is projecting to land, and it makes a ton of sense for those guys. Yeah. And then moving on to our favorite position. Defense, special teams. Actually, a fairly straightforward week, though. And typically, these straightforward weeks are straightforward for a reason, and the chalk plays usually go off. So you've got Cleveland taking on Jacksonville. Jacksonville is very banged up. They're missing two of their top receivers. They're on their third quarterback of the season. It's not a good offense in general. Again, so you've got Cleveland coming in at 3.1K on DraftKings. That price is really nice. Very strong play. I do not like them on FanDuel at 4.9. That's too pricey. On FanDuel, I really like the Giants at 4.3K. They get Cincy, same thing, missing the starting quarterback. So,
right.
And Giants defensively have been, actually both these teams, Cleveland and the Giants, have been kind of sneaky good defensively. Both are giving up less than 350 yards of total offense. So
right.
You've got the Giants, you've got Cleveland. The Saints are there. They're facing, a wide receiver who's going to be playing quarterback. So the Saints are there. My only worry with the Saints is how much are they really going to ask this kid to throw the ball? So are how much turnover opportunity do you have in terms of interceptions? But they should keep Denver's score super low. So they are absolutely viable as well. And then you've got some punts in Denver, Minnesota. You can always just flat out punt it with like the Jets or whatever. So same story as usual. I am not prioritizing defense. It will be the last spot I'd play. So I'm going to build everything else, see where I land, go from there. I'm going to get the best defense I can, but I'm not going to switch around my lineup just to get, the Browns defense.
Yeah. I hate this spot for defense today just because I feel like, okay, I'm going to play whatever fits. I'm not going to worry if I put a defense in and I got $100 left and, let me go back and refigure everything. I do think, like you said, when you get there and you're comfortable, just play them. Like, I think people are so concerned with zeroing out lineups in regards to salary that they just are like, well, I know I can upgrade somewhere. This defense is only $100 more, so they're bound to produce. Guys, it's such a high variance in NFL on defensive special teams touchdowns. Don't rely on that. There's some obvious spots. Devin covered them. I really do. I wasn't high on them whenever I was doing the staff picks, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm looking at Brandon Allen at quarterback. I'm sorry, Wes, but those Giants, I feel like they can have a good day today. The Saints, I mean, it makes sense, no quarterback, but at the same time, if Kendall Hinton they run the ball a ton, there's not a lot of opportunity for interceptions and to rack up points there. So I think that could be very trap like today. I see Miz in the back nodding his head, so he agrees with me there. But yeah, I think Giants make sense. Broncos make a lot of sense paying down there. Taysom Hill quarterback. I think the Saints traveled to the Mile High, so you know how that affects teams there too. They're going to be sucking wind up there in that altitude today, so that could affect some Saints players there. So those are my takes, Devin. I think you absolutely nailed it on the cash plays. Great player pool. What would you like to finish with before we move on to GPP?
Yeah, I mean it's a fairly straightforward day, but there are very important and crucial decisions that are going to make or break your lineup. So on days like this, trust your gut. take the time, look at the cheat sheet, look at the stats, pull up the player's log. Have they been consistent? What's their floor look like? What's their ceiling look like? Take that time. If you have a projection source that you trust, take a look at projections. Like there are, this is a week where one play is probably going to make or break your lineup. So take your time. We have, it's 10 o'clock. You have a couple hours to build. So that's pretty much it.
All right, guys, that's at YFC Sports _Devin. He is the man to contact, the man with the plan. On Twitter, you can reach out to him. You see his Twitter handle below. Also, feel free to reach out to him at YFC Devin on our free Discord. I do want to plug that because if you are our premium, in our premium Discord, which you can actually get linked from our website, and if you can get in a premium subscription, that's where we hang out a lot of times. You can access our coaches. It is a free Discord. You can always reach out to us. We'll do our best with answering questions, lineup review notes, and all that. But that's our cash plays. That's our top plays. Devin, you'll be updating the cheat sheet multiple times, I'm sure, with ownership and everything up until lock. But we are going to transition over. Devin, thank you very much. We're going to be bringing on Mike Miss 23 with our tournament GPP takes. If you have not been with us long and not read our Mismatches article on multiple sports, please do, because this is essential for you to get a different viewpoint, a different way of thinking in regards to playing your NFL lineup. So, Miz, I see you back there, man. You're ready to roll. You got the nice background. That looks like a money making table behind you. Is that where you make all your best decisions over there? What is that, brother?
Oh boy, don't get me started on this table. I've had many fights about the table.
Okay, we won't cause any residential discord in your household. So tell me how we're going to make some money in regards to GPP today.
All right, so changed up my article a little bit this week just because people are trying to focus maybe too much on just the individual plays and trying to all mush them into one lineup and that kind of thing, when that's really not the way you should be looking at that article. You should be looking at it as a supplement to, what you're building, right? So you want to build around certain groups of players or games or game environments, that type of thing. So if you check out the article, it goes into a little bit more of that and why. And hopefully that can help steer people in a better direction to, reach, higher scores. But the focus of the article focuses around Justin Herbert at quarterback. I mean, honestly, it's really hard to believe he's been doing what he's been doing. He hasn't scored below 20 fantasy points since 3, which is a long time ago at this point. And he hasn't gone under 20 pass attempts, under 30 pass attempts since week 4, which wasn't even his lowest outing. In terms of consistency and also upside, it's hard to get away from Justin Herbert in a game with Josh Allen on the other side and Steph Diggs and Gabby Davis and Zach Moss and Singletary, that they don't just continue to throw the ball. And even when Eckler was in the games, Eckler saw 11 targets the one game that he was with Herbert. So it's like,
jeez.
Well, yeah. So let's keep that rolling. I mean, it's so easy to bottom out when you're playing GPPs. Like you're trying to take these, a lot of people try to take these just wacky players or players that are in just bad situations. And this is the complete opposite of both of those. Yeah. I just don't know how you can even play them in cash, honestly, but I just don't know how you can get away from it.
Yeah, I was going to say that Herbert, just looking at that, I had to check that, but you're absolutely right. Those targets from the running back position alone, I mean, that's Eckler's bread and butter. I would even say Herbert's going in and he's going to, have this little team meeting, sit down, and Keenan Allen is going to bring him to the side and be like, bro, you got to get the ball in Eckler's hands. Like, I can't be, get double coverage all day. That, you got to give me something to work with. And of course, you got the Mike Williams pops over the top. But yeah, man, Eckler has huge value. I was excited to see whenever he got activated because I have him in so many leagues that I've been missing him this year. But yeah, I think that's an excellent play. Herbert is not going to get the ownership that he should today. And like you said, he's a cash play for sure. But I love the correlation there. Do you like anything to run that back in that game?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
We'll try. I'm just going to try to stay on, on in position levels here for people so that they can kind of follow along a little bit easier. I think at least that's what I've been told is easier for people. At least we'll see. So I called last week Derrick Henry being an absolute monster and just Ravens soul crusher, just absolutely shung their souls every time they play. And it happened, right? So we have a similar situation with Derrick Henry and the Colts this week. The Colts have been obviously a very good defense, even though I still don't think they are who we think they are.
Who's the best player in the world?
They have been good statistically thus far this season.
Who's the best player of all
However, DeForest Buckner is out. Danico Autry's out. And then Okurigi or whatever, one of their linebackers is out. That is not good for their run defense, especially with DeForest Buckner out. And these are all COVID-related injuries or designations, I guess.
Right.
So when your top defensive lineman is out, in almost every situation, the defense tends to give up rushing yards. And if you can give up more rushing yards just a little bit to Derrick Henry, he can really make you pay. It only takes one with Derrick Henry, especially as we saw last week. We've seen plenty of other times throughout this season and last. With everybody flocking to Dalvin Cook, and rightfully so, it just makes perfect sense to go to Derrick Henry as maybe a strict pivot, or even pairing with Dalvin Cook. There's plenty of ways to make that work as well.
Right. Yeah. Man, you got me on Derrick Henry last week, and it turned out to be a good play. I mean, I was sweating it a little bit, but like you said, it only takes one. And people don't look at that. They just look at the name that he's facing as the opponent, and they're like, oh, Indy's, they got to have a good defense, right? Of course, the Ravens got to have a good defense too, but look at what happened last week whenever they were missing their nose tackle. They were missing Calais Campbell. Like, obviously, things are going to change. So you really have to dig in, and I'm glad that you brought that up because, like you said, Derrick Henry was probably not a spot people were looking at here, but the reality is that division is still kind of open, and the Titans could absolutely take first place here. And they need a win against their top contender for that spot. So I love that take today.
And also, the Colts have some injuries or COVID designations on the other side of the ball as well, which hurts their offensive game and offensive output. And we saw last time that the Colts kind of took away the game. They put up some points. Therefore, the Titans kind of abandoned the run.
Right.
I don't expect that again this time. I actually maybe even expect it to be the opposite this time. All right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Then you asked about the correlation, with Justin Herbert. Obviously, we know, Keenan Allen is just an absolute monster. He has been. He's just an underrated guy. Runs the entire route tree. He's a favorite target. We all know that. Great play, great pairing. You can certainly do that, no problem. Cash, GPP, whatever you want. However, that will be a very popular, build or block of players to use. So especially if you're using Dalvin Cook and Brian Hill and all that, Mike Williams is just as good. He's been seeing way more targets over the last couple weeks.
Who's the best player of all time?
Going back to the last 6 weeks. Don't mind my dog.
Who let the dogs out?
Yeah, seriously. And Mike Williams has one of the highest ADOTs in the NFL. So we know that Justin Herbert is throwing, upwards of, 35 plus times, usually reaching the 40 attempt threshold, and with everybody on Allen, everybody on Henry, right?
Right.
Why not just go to Mike Williams? You want those touchdowns, you want those big splash plays. He's getting 7+ targets lately. 5K, perfect pairing.
Yeah, he's so cheap, dude. he's
Right.
it's. I mean, he's going to win somebody $1 million if he gets a big huge touchdown over the top. I mean, he's just that player. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I almost feel like if you play 3 max and that's your GPP spectrum, you don't play more than 3 lineups. You got to pair him in there with Herbert. That quarterback wide receiver 2 correlation pairing with running it back with a piece from the other game is literally like, I think, the de facto like top GPP get right now in the NFL. That's the way it's trending. So yeah, man,
Yeah.
I love Mike Williams.
And Keenan Allen needs a lot of points to really, really, really pay off. So Mike Williams needs a lot less.
Exactly.
So it's a really great pairing and what should be a high scoring game. All right, and then the final one would be Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed, this dude gets injured at the drop of a hat, but he does have he's healthy, and he does have Nick Mullins throwing him the ball. Nick Mullins targets tight ends more so than any other player on the field when he has played.
Right.
It's almost like a 30% clip almost. And then you have the Rams where they don't give up a ton of points to tight ends necessarily, but they give up a lot of targets to tight ends. And that also goes into who they've played and all of that, the level and athleticism of that said tight end. But Jordan Reed is more than capable. We've seen in the games that he's been healthy, he's been able to the digits with everybody going to Rudolph and or Waller and Kelsey up top. He's the perfect, just under the radar type tight end that can really get you, 18, 20 points.
Right. Yeah. Man, Jordan Reed, whenever he's out there, he's elite. The reason he always gets knocked on ownership or whatever is because everybody's just worried he takes one hit, he goes to the sideline, and he's done. That's literally the reason why you don't play him. Nobody is really playing this game, the Rams-Niners game, and it has a lot of potential today. I mean, the Niners have actually had to kind of open up their offense a bit, and the Rams show that they can definitely hang with a good defense. So, they just had a game against Tampa Bay, and then on the other side of that, I like that actual Tampa Bay Chiefs game a lot too, just because of the potential there. AB Antonio Brown, his target share keeps rising. You got the Mahomes to Hill or Kelsey on the other side, so there's a lot of great spots or both. A lot of great spots today. So yeah, I like the Reed call, man. That's going to be super low owned too.
Yeah, I mean, how many times were when he was on Washington? Right, and he was like upwards of 4.5 and up, right? I mean, he was really the same player. I mean, he just gets probably hurt a bit more often now, and he's maybe one concussion away from retirement.
Right.
But if he's out there and he's healthy, I mean, he's going to produce.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Is that you got another one for us, or is that going to round us out?
I guess just for defense, what you were saying about the Saints. Yeah, right. So if they're not going to be passing that much, you can't get any sacks or anything like that. You're going to really have to rely on a shutout and or forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, and a punt return or kick return, which is highly unlikely in the NFL these days. To really, at 3.8K, I believe they are. That's
right.
Man, I mean, a shutout is very, very much in the cards here, but I don't know, man. That seems like it could be trappy. I do like the Giants. They were the number one before all that Broncos news.
Right.
Browns, Rams, Chiefs. Right. Nobody can protect Tom Brady. When we've seen these night games, right? If they're bringing the pressure, that pocket's collapsing, and he's getting sacked. He's throwing picks. I mean, Chiefs are sort of sneaky today.
Yeah, and nobody plays them because they're always priced up, and everybody's just like, okay. I do think I'm going to run multiple lineups today. Obviously, one cash lineup, but multiple GPP, and I'm gonna run the stack. I'm going to stack up that Chiefs Bucks game. That's going to be one of my GPPs, depending on how I want to do that. And the other one, yeah, I think that just getting some correlation. You got me on playing some Henry and GPP today, so I hope that pans out to you for you for us, Mike, because now
Me
we're in it
too.
together. We're in it together, brother. We're in it together, and
Yeah.
I know you always put your money where your mouth is. So, guys, we have at Mike Miss 23. He has his mismatches article. Definitely check that out. It's a great read. I know that it covers multiple sports. Today's the NFL edition, so be sure to check that out. It gives you some great correlation, some great plays. But like Mike said, don't just stack all the GPP plays as one-offs and expect that just to pan out. You have to build it a certain way, sprinkle in some solid floor, but you don't have to have your entire lineup be 2% owned. I think Devin's really big on that not targeting that low ownership. So Mike, good luck today, man. I hope everything turns out for the Ravens well, and tell your wife the table's beautiful. We love it, brother.
That's right. I
All
will.
right, man. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. We're going to be covering real quick our wagering section and our prize picks to round out our show. As always, if you haven't joined us at yourfielderschoice.com, there is a YouTube link that you can click on, and it will have a recording of this live stream if you missed anything and you want to run it back. Because honestly, use the live stream, use the articles, use the cheat sheet, build that hour-long research process for your NFL if you're a big DFS player. NFL has the most money. Obviously, we want to make sure that we give you all the content and the tools to be able to succeed. So talking real quick, with wagering, we will have our wagering article that's going to come out today. You're going to get about 4 or 5 wagering picks that you can go ahead and look at in regards to NFL today. There may be some that are going to go across the main landscape on the main slate. We can delve into the NFL Sunday night, Monday night article. The Eagles are going to absolutely blow the Seahawks out by 30. So, you got to bet on that. No, I'm just kidding. So I don't know what we're going to get. We may get some Jalen Hurts, guys. I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for our wagering article. Be sure to diversify your portfolio by, making sure to check out that Too Long Do Not Read wagering articles. See the picks. If you want to scroll down and read out more, anytime we have a write-up on something, it is a 2-unit bet. So we like those a lot, and we want to make sure to wager heavily on those. But also be sure to check out our affiliate points bet that you can get more details in regards to that as we are partnered with them on our website at yourfielderschoice.com. I'm going to transition over from our wagering, which we will get that article out to you and some bets today that will be on our general Discord where you can look in our content section for wagering, and it will be dropped on Twitter. You can link that in or just check out the website. Going into prize picks, let's see. Yeah, we got a lot today and a lot to cover because I like a lot of plays. The first play that we are going to talk about is going to be DeAndre Hopkins, and I do have the list so I can make sure that I'm keeping up and track with that. And thank you, Mickey, our producer, Mickey. Guys, if you have not heard Mickey or met Mickey or talked to Mickey, he's amazing. Him and like I said, the team. They do a great job, so I appreciate you, Mickey, keeping me straight here. DeAndre Hopkins today, guys, on Prize Picks. I actually like the under. The under is very weird whenever you say DeAndre Hopkins because you're like, well, why are you low on this guy, Adam? Why are you low on the Cardinals? It's not that, guys. It's just traditionally whenever you play the Patriots, Bill Belichick loves to take away your number one weapon. We were talking a little bit pre-stream. This is kind of the week where DeAndre Hopkins has kind of had that off week, huge week, off week, huge week. This is the week for him to hit. So I think a lot of people may play that trend, but I think that the Prize Picks, just the prop right now is just too high. If you're looking at DeAndre Hopkins, he gets a lot of his value based off of his obviously receptions, targets. Kyler Murray can do a lot. He's got Christian Kirk out there. He's got Andy Isabella. He's got his running backs. He's got his legs. There's a lot of different things that he doesn't have to just pepper Hopkins with targets today. They're probably going to shadow Hopkins, get bracket coverage on that side. And traditionally, Mike pointed out to me earlier is that against the Patriots, he's actually, I don't even know if he's scored a touchdown, to be honest. I don't think he's ever topped 80 yards for one. I could dig more stats on there, but this one, whenever I looked at it, I was just like, he's going to go under today. There's no way he can do this to the Patriots, but obviously it's a riskier play with the under on an elite receiver. I just feel like it's going to be something that we can comfortably play today as the under. So I want to delve into my next play that we have, which should be Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs obviously is a play that we liked a lot from a DFS perspective. That Raiders Atlanta Falcons game is going to be one to target from DFS. Obviously, it's going to be hot in the betting markets, in the wagering section. This is something that we could see pop up. But, high over under total. Atlanta plays zero defense, as you may or may not know. We like Darren Waller. We like Josh Jacobs. We're not huge on Carr, but the reason we're not huge on Carr is because Josh Jacobs has been leaned on here to do a lot. Josh Jacobs is going to be catching passes out of the backfield. Josh Jacobs is going to be getting plenty of carries inside the red zone. Obviously, he's going to get his opportunities today. So love Josh Jacobs. The prop of only 17.2. If you're looking at elite running back props on Prizepicks, usually it's above 20. So that's something that we want to look at here as, hey, we get a discount on him on a prop in a great spot. Barring something catastrophic happening like an injury, I think Josh Jacobs easily can go over today. He's going to get the work. He's going to get the carries. He's going to get the receptions. Josh Jacobs over is a favorite play of mine. Next, in that same game, we have Matt Ryan, quarterback of Atlanta Falcons. I looked at it and I looked at the number. I looked at what Matt Ryan had to do today. No Todd Gurley. Obviously, Matt Ryan, to me, just became a play that he's going to have that volume. Matt Ryan's never been a huge touchdown guy, but you're looking at this prop, only 20.5 right now is what we have listed. Now, I don't know if that's going up or down, but I do feel comfortable with Matt Ryan, in DFS, in real life football. He's going to be able to throw the ball. I mean, regardless of what happens, Matt Ryan's going to have to throw. Falcons are always going to be behind. Matt Ryan's always going to have to sling it. That 300 yards, there's a lot of things that are going to go his way today. He's not going to hand the ball off 35 times to Brian Hill. At least I don't think he is. So I do see the work. I see the game script, everything falling in line. The Raiders, like I said, they're decent as pass defense here, but it's nothing to write home about. It's mainly a game script thing more than anything. The Falcons are going to throw no matter what. So love the Matt Ryan over today. I want to transition over to Jacoby Myers for the New England Patriots. Now, I understand that obviously the Patriots, they're in a rebuild, whatever you want to call it. Bill Belichick, his transitional coaching with Cam at quarterback and whatnot. But Jacoby Myers, if you're looking at his prop, I think he's only at 11.5. I mean, this guy is getting peppered with targets. Every Patriots game I've seen, the guy is just getting targeted after target after target after target after target. Now, obviously, the game script that we're looking at today, it's not going to be the best matchup or anything like that, but we haven't seen the Patriots on a main slate in a while. So obviously I like Jacoby Myers a lot here. I don't think I would play him necessarily outside of GPP and DFS, but I do think that the fact that he gets a ton of targets, Arizona is going to want to push the pace. So you naturally get a game script to where the Patriots need something to do to catch up. We talked about James White earlier in the stream. Obviously, that's someone the Patriots are going to have to probably lean on more because they're going to have to move the ball down the field to keep up with the Arizona Cardinals. So I think Jacoby Myers is just going to get a ton of targets today. That prop seems easy to get, and it's actually probably one of my favorite prize picks today. Going over, I got two more picks for you, and we want to talk about the talk of the town. Or actually, one more pick for you. We have Kendall Hinton. If you have or have not heard or been following the NFL DFS craziness going on with the Broncos not having an active QB available for the roster due to COVID protocols being broken. Kendall Hinton here, 5.5 points. I think he's at 6 on Prizepicks right now, falling under the QB section. I think Devin looked at some of his metrics earlier. He runs around the 4.4s. If these guys run the option all game long, the guy's going to have rushing upside. He literally would need 55 yards to be able to beat this, and that's without throwing a pass. That's without getting a touchdown. It just seems too low. I would jump in right now. I don't know what Prizepicks is going to do. I imagine they're going to keep it up there, hoping the Saints just shut this guy down, but 5.5 points seems kind of insulting. I don't know if that's going to be just an absolute smash or not. I hope we don't have to sweat that. I'm not recommending you playing Kendall Hinton in your season long or your DFS lineups today. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that for this particular case, if he's the one getting the work and he's the quarterback, he's getting the love, obviously it makes sense here, especially from a rushing standpoint. If this guy was just like a place kicker having to play quarterback here, I would worry. I'd be like, I don't know if this guy's going to get 5.5. So love it here. Love his athletic ability. And of course, like I said, with Prizepicks, guys, I do want to mention, if you're checking us out at yourfielderschoice.com, you can click on our Prizepicks logo. We do have a current promo with Prizepicks. They give you a 100% match, I believe, up to $100. And of course, you get a free 2-pick entry to win $50. Prizepicks is a way to diversify what you're already doing. You're researching DFS, you're checking out wagers and really digging into games, but you get to use that knowledge and just apply it to Prizepicks, where you get a free, you get to place a 2, 3, or 4-pick entry. You could, and now 5 picks, they actually have that rolled out to where you can, wager on these props of these DFS players, whether it be NFL, MLB, NBA, soccer, college, golf, tennis, highlight, all these different things. You can mix and match sports to be able to make and create these entries. And then, of course, you can flex pick those where you can get 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5 and still make money. Or for bigger prizes, you can obviously power play those and try to hit them all, similar to like a parlay in wagering. So, guys, that's prizepicks.com. My name's Adam, also known as V12. Check us out. Yourfielderschoice.com. Be sure to click the socials that we have, our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course our YouTube. Hit the bell with the notification to get all of our content updated to you, and of course like and subscribe, guys. We're much appreciative to you. Thank you very much for continuing to grow with us, seeing the numbers pop up in the stream, seeing the content, the users, the premium subscribers. We're extremely grateful for you all. Have a great NFL Week 12, guys. Here's to making money, and this is me signing out, guys.
German whips, fancy cars, they play the game, but they know who the champions are. Every time we pull up, it's like a damn bazaar. They scream our name, try to get us on the camera. Flashing lights, though I ain't the flashy type. I just push a big whips with the fastest pipes. Can't match his price. Model nigga catch for life, but I still never pay the full package price and fuck the law.